Are we live?
Yes.
We are. What's up?
This motherfucker's always asking, are we live?
Well, I make sure because your crazy ass puts in the wrong key sometimes and I end up talking to nobody for a few seconds. Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Hope you're all having a lovely morning. Hope you all have your coffees and are settled in. A lot of sports on today. Coming off a Friday night, that was good. Well, it was good as far as college football goes. My bets went 5-1. How do you like that? Well, two of the bets were in the USC game, so two there. But yeah, 5-1 in college football last night.
There's 4-1. It's a good turnaround for once.
Yeah. There's a silver lining there. Went 0-3 in the NBA. So 5-1 in college football, 0-3 in the NBA. The old switcheroo, they call that in the business. So yeah, we got 8 bowl games. We got some college basketball. Toast is here waiting in the background. He hasn't been on camera in like a month, it feels like. So yeah, let's talk about these college football games. Scoop, you on UConn?
I am on UConn. I grabbed UConn. North Carolina has been just a weird team all year. It started when they lost.
Oh shit, Scoop! Real quick before we start,
sure.
put up under me. I got something here. Layla Fernandez. I got a tennis bet. Real quick, Layla Fernandez under 9.5 games minus 130 for a full unit from Jess. I know Fernandez is a beast in team competitions where she represents her country, but so is golf. Oh, man, this is kind of a long thing. I'm just going to type it in. Sorry, Jess. Everyone's ready for football. Damn it, it's even too long. One sec. Yeah, so Jess likes this. I would have been more. I'll be more prepared for her next edit. She actually wrote like a long write-up for it. So, yeah, Jess likes Layla Fernandez under 9.5 games won minus 130. Can we talk football?
Yeah, also at Atlanta, it's a Serie A team for soccer, plus 130 today. You're getting good value. I would put a unit on that for some soccer. 2:45 p.m.
Wow, look at us, tennis and soccer. We're the most cultured group out here, man.
Anyway, North Carolina, they suck. Yeah, I mean, it started when they lost their quarterback first game of the year, but they've been constantly losing games late. It's happened all season. Now they're without their best player in Hampton, their running back. I'm also not really trusting Freddie Kitchens to lead a team. You can see how bad he was as a head coach or just a coach in general. UConn isn't great. I mean, they just held on to beat UMass 47-42, but also four of their losses are really close games. They had a 7-point loss to Syracuse, a 3-point loss to Big Game Hank by 3 and Duke by 5. But they're just a really solid rushing team. They're 25th in the country. It's going to help them since Ritzy and Rucker both declared for the draft for North Carolina. They're both defensive ends. That should help keep their running game going. Amari Campbell will be out for Carolina too, so I think the running room will be there for UConn. Even with these players, Carolina was a bottom 10 in defensive line yards as it was. So with them losing 2 of the starting defensive line, I think this is going to be a huge running game for UConn. Weather isn't supposed to be that bad. 41 is actually pretty decent. It maybe rain a little, but I feel like this game's mostly going to be on the ground anyway. These stadium games suck, whether it's Yankee Stadium or Fenway. The footing always sucks. There's always a problem with the field. And these offensive linemen for Carolina, some transferred. So if you're having Criswell throw the ball, that's not great for Carolina. He's 92nd in EPA per dropback as it was. So I just feel like this is a really good spot for UConn. It's close to home, playing at Fenway. So I would definitely take UConn here. I also took them at the money line.
I'm on UConn as well, and I agree with a lot of the things Scoop says. I mean, as far as the battle on the line of scrimmage, as crazy as it sounds, I think UConn's going to win those on both sides of the ball. I know that sounds crazy because of the talent discrepancy between a program like UConn and a program like North Carolina. But like Scoop said, UNC's missing pieces everywhere. Missing pieces on the defensive line. They're missing linebackers. They're missing their 2 best offensive linemen in this game. They're missing their superstar NFL running back. So, I mean, this UNC, we're not betting on the North Carolina team that you know this year. A North Carolina team that, by the way, is 2-9-1 against the spread as it is. So that team has been playing below market this entire year. But we're betting on a North Carolina team that's kind of a shell of itself right now. And more importantly, in my opinion, in a transition period. I mean, if you're a member of the UConn program, Where's your mindset right now? Your mindset is, we fucking made a bowl game. This is so sick. We're playing on Saturday. We're a standalone game on Saturday against North Carolina. Like, this is your Super Bowl. This is like the biggest game ever for some of these players on UConn. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, I mean, you're looking ahead. Am I going to be part of Belichick's roster next year? You got transfers coming in. There's so many changes going on in the program. This bowl game is not the peak of a lot of these North Carolina players. So I think it's a much bigger deal for the UConn side with Mora. I think, like Scoop said, I think UConn's going to be able to run the ball. The only thing that if we lose this bet, this is how we lose it. Criswell can definitely make throws on the UConn secondary without a doubt. And North Carolina's wide receivers should be able to get separation. So that's our path to losing. UConn does not have a good pass defense. Criswell can definitely sling it. So that's our path to losing. Criswell's able to make throws. But I think UConn can win the battle on the line of scrimmage. So I'm in. Let's do it, UConn. Small bet. Later.
Plus Kyle's a UConn. That's his school. He went to UConn. So
for a very brief moment. What's next?
Boston College.
Boston. All right, so I'm on Boston College in this one. I got a +4. I don't really know if I think this is a good bet or not. To be honest, this might be just straight up gambling. But I don't see how this one is greater than a field goal. Nebraska, the data points are everywhere with Nebraska. There's been times where we saw this offense put up, 44 points against Wisconsin and looked unstoppable. Early in the year, Raiola was making throws. This Nebraska offense looked pretty explosive. But there's also a big chunk of the season where this Nebraska offense was a blind fade. So trying to figure out which Nebraska offense shows up for this game, best of luck to you. I will say Boston College finished out the season playing their best defense of the year. The last 2 games, they played great defense. They shut Pitt down. They shut North Carolina down. Granted, it was in the rain. But Boston College finishes out the year playing their best defense. It's a good defensive front. This is a good ACC defensive front 7 here. So, I mean, if Raiola comes out and looks like Mahomes, whatever, I lose. But if Nebraska just comes out and plays an average game offensively, I think this is a field goal game. On the offensive side of the ball, I don't know why. I can't explain it. But without Castellanos, this Boston College offense looks better. And the reason it's weird, they've been running the ball much better without Castellanos. The reason that's weird is Castellanos is the runner. He's an electric athlete. So you switch from an electric athlete at quarterback to a pocket passer and your run game gets better. It doesn't make logical sense, but the numbers don't lie. Since they switched over to Grayson James at quarterback, this Boston College team has been running the football. They're running it on SMU. I mean, so I think based on if you take the last 5 games of the season, I think you make the argument that Boston College might even be the slightly better team here. I know Nebraska played the tougher schedule. So, yeah, this shouldn't be more than 3, in my opinion. So I have Boston College at +4.
Yeah, so this is the first bowl game for Nebraska in 8 years. It was actually the longest drought for a power conference team. So good for them. Nebraska's gonna be without 4 of their key players. Nayer's out at wideout. He's their best wide receiver. They're also missing their starting tight end, linebacker, one of their defensive ends. They're actually going to be missing 4 linebackers here. I think this is going to be an ugly game, personally. Both teams make a ton of mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. They have careless turnovers. And like Kyle said, Nebraska just has lulls of offensive football. They've only scored 20 points twice in their last 8 games.
Right, and then the one game of their 20-point game, they scored 50 against
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And then the other game was against Purdue. And if you don't remember, that game was 0-0 at half. So I'm on the under here.
An under in a bowl game is dangerous work.
Under in a bowl game. Since Grayson James has been taking over for Castellanos, he has been making better plays. I don't really trust him to make big plays when it matters. Both of these teams are made by their defense. It's a better unit for both teams. Both defensive lines are in the top 50. Izuraku, I think his name, he should be a force for Boston College. He had 16.5 sacks this season. The problem is he's on the bowl depth chart, but I don't know if he's opting out. He may opt out. But regardless, their line and their front 7 should have solid games. I just think this is going to be an ugly game as well. I think this is at Yankee Stadium. Nebraska's plus their kicking game is both of them are miserable. Nebraska's under 70% in field goals. Boston College has only attempted 4 field goals all year. They don't really have a kicker. They're going to be going for it on fourth and a bunch, and I think Nebraska can definitely stop them. Like Kyle said, when Grayson when he took over for Castellanos, this team is a running team. The clock's going to keep moving. I just think this is going to be a defensive battle for both, so I'm going to take the under in good old Yankee Stadium.
An under in Yankee Stadium, an under in the Bronx. Is that Ren Zone in the comments, by the way? You never see Renz out here. Usually he's just quietly making his picks in the Discord. He went to the playoffs a few times in a row in the league. I don't see Renz hanging out in the comments often. What's up, man? All right. Next up, I would say probably the game I'm least interested in today. Does anyone in the comments know does anyone have a Wooldridge update, the quarterback for Louisiana? It's impossible, and I'm speaking about my personal opinion here. It's impossible to place a bet on this game without knowing if Wooldridge is going to play. He is the quarterback for Louisiana, and he's an electric player. I mean, his play this year is what took Louisiana to where they are. No one was expecting it either. I mean, he came out of nowhere, and he was awesome. If Wooldridge doesn't play, their backup quarterback is hurt. So if Wooldridge is unable to play, we're talking about a walk-on freshman, I believe, playing quarterback for Louisiana here. So the difference in you're going to get Wooldridge, who might be the best quarterback in the conference, or you're going to get a Sunbelt walk-on freshman. So it's just too big of a gap to place a bet. If it's Wooldridge, if Wooldridge is playing for Louisiana, I would just say fuck it, throw down some money on the over. There's going to be a ton of points in this game. If it's not Wooldridge, I would lay the 10. But you don't even have to write that because I'm not very interested in this game.
Yeah, so like Kyle said, this whole game depends on if he's back at quarterback. He got upgraded this morning. I saw he's
upgraded to what?
Probable. So
then I would go over.
Either way, I mean, listen. I mean, Fields and him Fields is doubtful, so I doubt he even plays. But if they're both out, you're like you said, you're relying on a true freshman and Daniel Beal. They did already lose their tight end, one of their better receivers in the portal. So, but if Wolf just playing, even I would definitely take the points. He's led this team all season. He really gets the passing game going for Louisiana. TCU doesn't exactly have the best run defense. It picked up in the second half, but I mean, I would obviously, if Beal is playing, the true freshman, they would rely on more of the run game here. This TCU team was killed on the ground by UCF, SMU, Houston. Listen, Louisiana top 15 yards allowed yards per game, and a top 30 team against the pass. They're only allowing 189 yards. They also had 15 picks on defense and had the lowest pass total on defense in the Sun Belt. I know it's the Sun Belt, and TCU is the best team that obviously will play all year, but I like their defense, and I like that TCU is without their leading running back and Cook. It is a lot of points.
TCU's also missing a couple receivers too.
Yeah, so if Wilcher's playing, I would take the points, but if he's not, I would definitely just lay off this game.
Yeah, TCU is missing offensive weapons. He's not wrong about that. The thing is, we're talking about Big 12 against Sun Belt, and I think the depth of TCU in terms of wide receivers and running backs will have no problem carving up not just a Sun Belt defense, a bad Sun Belt defense. So, yeah, next.
Pop-Tarts.
So there's a couple comments on the YouTube video about this one, Iowa State, Miami. The reason I said Cam Ward and Restrepo and those guys might not play is because very often in these bowl games, players, when asked, say, I'm going to play in the game, and then don't, and then change their mind when they talk to an agent, when they talk to some kind of representation who's saying, dude, you're an idiot if you play. So that people are like, does this guy even follow things? Cam Ward's playing. Yet players say they're playing in the bowl. I would never go on YouTube and be like, this guy's playing in a bowl game because he told the media he is. Because it happens all the time. Players are asked and they want to say the right thing. They don't want to let people down and be like, no, I'm not playing. So they say it because they like truly want to, and then they end up talking to sponsors or an agent or somebody that gets in their ear and they be like, dude, it's not in your best interest to play. So From what I'm hearing, it looks like Cam Ward is going to play. I was just saying the reason I said that in the video yesterday is just because Cam Ward says he wants to play. It's not definitive. Regardless, whether Cam Ward plays or not, it's over for me here. And also, it looks like the Iowa State wide receivers are going to play as well. By the way, on that same note, there are two leading receivers who, by far, the one has 1,100 yards, the other one has over 1,000. wide receiver 3 on Iowa State has like 200. So these are their 2 leading receivers by far. They were both either in the transfer portal or listed as potential opt-outs. It looks like they're both going to play as well. The only way I would go with this one is over. There should be 1 billion points because it's a Miami game. They're going to score 40. They're going to give up 40. So, yeah, I mean, this one should fly straight over. It looks similar to the Syracuse game from last night. So it would only be over. I actually might even bet this. I haven't bet this one at this moment.
Yeah, I put a bet on Iowa State. I'm assuming Cam Ward's playing, even though he'll be in the draft, like you said. If not, I mean, I really hope not, because I bet on Iowa State. I think Jalen Jackson's still suspended for this game, which sucks. But even so, I'm going with Iowa State. I'm still a believer in Rocco Beck, even though he had an absolutely terrible Big 12 championship. Plus, losing Horton to Alabama, I feel like is going to be a big loss for what Kyle said is going to be kind of a shootout. Miami doesn't have the defense to slow down Higgins and Noel. Like you said, they're both playing in this one, assuming they're not like Kyle said, assuming they don't opt out last minute with something going on. Both receivers went over 1,000 yards. Miami's secondary has been average at best all year. They're prone to giving up big plays. Cyclones best passing defense in the Big 12, but the second worst rushing defense. But Miami doesn't really run the ball. Miami's a pass-first team. Verdon and Williams should have a great day on the corners, especially with Horton out for Iowa State. Iowa State doesn't have the best run offense, but they still have the two in Sama and Hansen, and Beck and Tucken and run too. So this game went up to 57 points for the total, I think now, or 58 and a half now. If you got it earlier, that's great. But I just feel like Iowa State's going to make more stops, and not to mention they still have one of the best time of possessions in teams in the country. So they hold the ball a long time. They convert on third downs constantly, and they're one of the better teams in the country. So I feel like this is a field goal type of game. I'm going to take the 4.5 with Iowa State.
Cool. Move on to the next one. Miami of Ohio's up next. My opinion on this one can be summed up in one word, or one sentence, I should say. Where are the points coming from for Colorado State? How is Colorado State going to score in this game? And I know you're not supposed to take unders. Whoa, get that. No, absolutely not. All right, good. So yeah, I don't know how Colorado State scores in this game. So basically, if you haven't followed Colorado State this year, if you remember last year, they had Fowler Nicolosi at quarterback. They could throw the ball. They had that kid Horton at wide receiver. Remember, they went toe-to-toe with Colorado, with Shedeur Sanders. And they brought back those pieces. They had a tight end that came back that they really like. So they brought back those pieces. And I'm actually thinking Colorado State team total under, AJ. So they brought back those pieces. And we all, well, I shouldn't say we all, I expected coming into the year, Colorado State to be a good Mountain West passing attack. It's CSU.
Yeah, that's completely not what happened.
They came out, Colorado State came out and look the opposite of that. They've been a run-first offense all year, a shitty run-first offense. I mean, they hand the ball off. They're not even very efficient. Their last 2 games, they couldn't run the ball on Utah State and Fresno State. I don't really know what happened with Colorado State, but this offense is terrible. Okay, this offense has been a run-first offense that's terrible all year. Enter this game against Miami of Ohio, who, by the way, has the best defense in the MAC conference. I know what just happened in the MAC championship game. I would classify Ohio as the hottest team in the MAC, not the best team in the MAC. They were definitely the best team in the MAC at the end of the year. But as far as on a season-long standpoint, Miami of Ohio is the best defense in that conference for multiple years now. The idea that Colorado State's going to struggle to run the ball on Fresno, struggle to run the ball on Utah State, and then run the ball on Miami of Ohio, that sounds a little silly to me. So I don't think Colorado State's going to be able to run the ball. Now, Miami of Ohio, I believe, is missing their top 2 corners. So maybe Colorado State is going to come out and throw the ball in this one. Here's the problem. They're missing their top 2 receivers. So and they haven't been able to throw the ball all year. So I just don't see where the points are coming from Colorado State. I know you're not supposed to bet unders in bowl games, but I like Colorado State team to stay under their team total of 19.5. This one's, I think, going to be an ugly one. I would say final score 28-10, Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, so I didn't bet this one personally. I'm gonna ride with Miami here, but I do like the under, like Kyle said. Colorado State's gonna be down both defensive ends. A starting linebacker. This is with their defensive coordinator also getting fired. So the linebacker coach is going to call the defense here for Colorado State. The issue, like Kyle said, Miami's without their 2 starting wideouts, who were a big part of their offense. They're going to be out with Virgil and Tracy, and Cade McConnell had a decent year for them. I'm assuming he's going to play here. But Keon Mosley had 1,000 yards.
No, I don't think Cade McConnell. Oh, actually, you keep talking. I'll look it up. I don't think he is playing.
He was potential opt out, but Keon Mosley had 1,000 yards rushing this year. I think he'll get a good deal of burn here since Colorado State's defensive ends are out, and their best defensive tackle was hurt in the finale. I don't know if he's playing either. I think he'll play here though. But really, Miami throughout the later portions of their season has relied on Mosley a lot. He'll have some room here, and even though they're both receivers are out, Gabbard's going to have a time here to throw the ball. He's going to have time to throw the ball because Colorado State only had 15 sacks on the season. They're not going to have many here with a new line, basically. So Colorado, like Kyle said, Colorado State pretty much changed completely when Horton went down for Colorado State. He was their probably the biggest weapon of the year for their team, but it pretty much went to a heavy run attack. This may be a big part of their game since Miami gives up explosive runs at a high rate, but I like Miami's pass attack better to put this one away. I know everyone's on Colorado State. I think 80% of the money's on Colorado State. I've never been a big that's the last time I saw it. I've never been a big believer in them all year. So I'm gonna ride with the Miami Ohio Redhawks.
I find it hard to believe that everyone's taking Colorado State.
That's
here.
What it was. Well, it's
I mean, actually, I'm looking at it. Does say that, so you're not wrong.
They're missing all their They're pretty much the biggest part of their team is their wideouts. But
you can say the same thing on the Colorado State side. All right, I'll stop interrupting. Go ahead.
Let's go with under then. Let's do that.
No, I mean, I don't hate the Miami of Ohio bet. I'd rather go team total under. I also think Miami of Ohio's offense may struggle too, though.
Was McConnell out? Is he?
No, he's still uncertain.
Yeah, so it's like you're losing three your wideouts, so it's like hard to bet on either side.
Yeah, they're both teams are out wideouts here, and I don't think either team can run the ball. I would trust Gabbert before Fowler Nicolosi. Played in some big games. Anyway,
yeah.
Can we cut the bullshit and talk CJ Bailey football? I am officially a fan. I may place a future NC State to win the Natty or to win the ACC if we're being a little more realistic. I love this kid. If you watched that NC State Georgia Tech game, I believe it was on a Friday night, it was on a Thursday night. It was a standalone game. This kid is electric, and it's crazy because he took over after Grayson McCall got hurt, and he looked like ass when he first got in there, and I was like, NC State's season is done. But that second half of the Clemson game, they were down like 40 points. NC State rattled off 4 straight touchdowns. The game was over, but he went up and down the field with ease against Clemson's second unit. From that point on, NC State's offense is dangerous. I believe in their last 6 or 7 games, they're averaging over 30 points per game. And what I like about this, by the way, CJ Bailey is the quarterback for NC State, for those of you who don't know who it is. If you subscribe to this channel, you know who it is because I've been gassing him up for a month and a half now. I'm a big fan. What I like about him is I've seen this kid light up defenses, drop it back to pass 35 times, and I've also seen him in the Georgia Tech game where he took off and used his legs. He's 6'5", fast as hell, and can throw it and stand in the pocket and throw it. I'm all in on CJ Bailey. That being said, he also plays the East Carolina defense who, in their home games, you can get behind ECU defensively a bit, but away from home, this defense is bad. They're in their last 4 games away from home, they're allowing 39 points per game, 38.9 points per game in their last 4 road games. I think NC State is going to literally name their score in this game. If they want to put up 50, they'll be able to. So I'm on NC State -7. On the other side, I completely get if you'd rather go over than lay the points with NC State because there is a path to ECU scoring points in this game. The NC State defense has been very streaky. At times it's looked bad. ECU, since making the quarterback change, has shown signs of being pretty explosive themselves. So I completely get if you're on the over here instead of NC State. But personally, I don't think ECU is going to be able to keep up. And also, that quarterback or Hauser for ECU, he's prone to turning the ball over. So I think NC State covers this. I'm also not mad at an NC State team total over or an over.
Yeah, so I think this is the only thing we disagree on. I took East Carolina.
That's because you don't know CJ Bailey.
To start. Well, all right. So These are two programs I was pretty much down on all year. Both of these teams are absolutely terrible at times. North Carolina limped in here the final week. East Carolina turned it around late, but that Navy game was absolutely gross. I think we both had them that game. I'm still going with them here. Kyle may be a CJ Bailey fan, and I'm coming around to him. He's done great this year, but I'm a bigger Caton Hauser fan. I think he's a better quarterback overall. So,
oh my god,
this game looks like it's gonna rain all the whole game. I don't think that'll stop the East Carolina offense much. I really don't think it's gonna stop either offense that much. So, but North Carolina State's pass defense has been non-existent all year long. I think that'll continue here.
Receivers, dude.
Casey's out for NC State too. Concepcion, he's their best receiver. So.
Yeah, he's been terrible this year though.
CJ Bailey's been good. He's still learning. He has 14 touchdowns, but you said Hauser's turnover prone. He still has 9 picks too, CJ Bailey. He's still a bit turnover prone himself. So I think Carolina's
Clemson. He's playing an ACC schedule.
I think Carolina's the better offense here, or definitely a more rounded offense. NC State can't run the ball at all. They can't run the ball. East Carolina has the ability to do both. So East Carolina had a bad defense just like NC State, but I think they can focus on more of a pass game here for East Carolina's defense. So I think they should be able to pressure CJ most of the game, and I think they're going to make him turn the ball over. I think NC State should be favored, but I think 7 points is a bit too much here. I think this should be around 3 or 4. But I do agree with you that it should be an over type of game, even though it's 60.5 now. I think both of these defenses are absolute garbage. So I would do that, but I would also take East Carolina. I think you're disrespecting East Carolina a bit too much.
Worst pick of the day from Scoop. Next. BYU, Colorado. I mean, this game is impossible. What do we even say about this game? If all those guys play, Colorado should cover the 3. I don't even know why they're giving us a 3 if all those guys are playing. What am I missing? Is Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter playing? Looks like they are, right?
Yeah, it should be.
So then why are they giving us a 3?
I don't know. I'll listen. I'm glad I get to talk about Colorado football today. We know I've been a firm believer of this Colorado team since the beginning, especially their coaching. Love this team. So, listen, in this one, I'm riding them again. This spread could be whatever you want it to be. Kind of what Kyle was focused on. I know everyone is on Colorado, the bets, the money, but I'm going with a public side here. I saw that they offered Hunter and Shedeur Insurance to actually play in this game. I don't know if they actually did, but it looks like you're definitely playing. So I guess with all the money Colorado's getting, they should be able to afford that. But Colorado still has not established a run game. It's their biggest flaw, obviously, since they've been – but listen, they've been getting by without it. Both of the lines have gotten a lot better. They're still not great, but way better than the beginning of the season. All right, well, they're – okay, both – I just said both.
No, he put BYU up for me. I don't even want that screenshot out there. I'm not taking BYU.
Whoa! What do you want? I can't tell.
I didn't go yet.
Oh, well, you started off and spoke for like 3 minutes where you're just like flapping your gums.
Listen, pay attention and get a better opening, Beaver, because everyone's complaining about it, and you should really fix that.
Hold on, real quick about the intro. So that intro first of all, the intro that is gone now got hit with a copyright flag. So I can't use it anymore. I didn't change it because I was like, oh yeah, let's try something new. I can't use it anymore. That's number 1. Number 2, that intro that everyone's like, oh, bring back that intro. It was great. I was getting complaints for 2 weeks when I started using that intro. People like, this sucks. You're ruining your channel with this intro. 2 weeks, people hated that intro. People just hate change. Doesn't matter if that people just when you change it, they're gonna hate it. And then in 2 years, when I change this intro, they'll claim they hate that one too. They'll claim they hate the new one and they love the old one. People just hate change. So the intro's gone because I can't use it anymore.
Also, please stop blaming Beaver. He has nothing to do with that opening. So like I said, the lines are getting better for both sides. They're still not great, but way better than the beginning of the season. We know Shedeur should have a huge game. Listen, he's been their whole offense all season. I know BYU has a decent offense. Retzlaff isn't bad, and Colorado struggles against decent offenses. But listen, his defense has gotten way better as the season went on. It looks like on both sides, the only starter that's going to be missing is one defender on both sides. So most of this should be a pretty all their starters should be playing. So both of these teams should be at full strength for the most part. I just love Shedeur back there. BYU only had 16 sacks per year for the year. They're not great at creating pressure. And with Shedeur, he can scramble out of it anyway and find an open receiver. Him and Travis Hunter are the most athletic players on this team. This is going to be a pass-heavy game. I'm going to trust a better offense and an improved defense. definitely a better defensive line at pressure too for Colorado. So give me Colorado, buffs up, Coach Prime up, full believer in Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, obviously at 3 it would only be Colorado, but I didn't bet it. I don't know what the hell I'm missing here. Why are they? I mean, not that the odds makers are interested in what the quote unquote public action is doing, but you got to think everyone in the world is laying 3 points here. What the hell am I missing? If I was trying to be contrarian, I don't know what avenue I would even take to make this a 3-point game on a neutral field. I mean, BYU, their best football was played in early October. There's more than a 3-point gap between these two teams, especially considering how they played down the stretch. I don't understand the line. You got to think everyone in the world's betting Colorado here. I have no idea. In fact, I would probably just go over. I honestly don't know. I really don't know what to do here. The line makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't get it.
As far as this one, look, I know that these bowl games are crazy and these dogs have been winning outright and shit. I think Army is about to take Louisiana. I think Army is about to do something unholy to Sonny Cumbie. I was looking at it this morning and I think what Army's about to do to Sonny Cumbie is some shit that can't be reversed. Something like Sonny Cumbie's going to remember for years to come. For those of you who don't know who Sonny Cumbie is, that's the head coach of Louisiana Tech that me and Prop Beaver were making fun of last year.
He's a fucking loser.
Yeah, we made fun of him in the beginning of the season, actually, before it even started.
So Sonny Cumbie's the head coach of Louisiana Tech. That he's one of the guys that I thought for sure was not going to make it through this season. They actually announced he's coming back next year because they did win a few nice games early this year. I don't know how they stop Army. And Army's the type of team where, you're getting their best fastball in the bowl game because they give a shit. I don't know. I don't have any insight here. I don't know. Army probably wins big. Really don't know. I have no idea.
Yes. I'm going to lay. I bet it. I'm going to lay the points with Army. Like you said, I don't see any way that Louisiana Tech can come back here and even cover this number. Army has shown all year they have a really solid offense against teams like Louisiana Tech. LA Tech's missing 2 defensive linemen, so that'll help Army's run game even more. Like I said before the show, in case you want a good name, one of the backup safeties for Louisiana Tech is transferring, and his name is Pig Cage. Yeah, Pig, like in a cage, Pig Cage.
Wait, is my Pig Cage anytime touchdown scorer going to get void?
Yeah, well, you need a defensive touchdown. That'd be great. Sonny Cumbie is a bad coach. Louisiana Tech didn't have a offense all season, and now they're playing a tough Army defense, top scoring defense in the country. Army's pass defense is also one of the best in general. Louisiana Tech is going to have trouble moving the ball in general. The offensive line, their ability to control the clock, their run game, it's all going to be Army's way. Plus, Army's never gotten to 12 wins ever in their season. They're going to show they want to belong here. Hell, Daly was 6th in the Heisman race this year. So, and most of all, let's be real, Louisiana Tech shouldn't even be here. They had a 5-7 record. They're filling in for Marshall, so they're a fill-in bowl team. Most of these kids thought their season was done, which is why some of these are transferred before this. This game should be an absolute blowout, so I took Army and laying the points. I might end up laying it. Yeah, it's funny. Prop Beaver hasn't said a word the whole thing. Sonny Cumbie's name comes up. He chimes in to go, what a loser.
I mean, there's only one thing I know about college ball. It's that Sonny Cumbie's a disgrace.
All right. What's college basketball up next?
Yes.
All right. Am I staying on the screen? I don't care either way.
I mean, I have it as a 2 per. I mean, we could make it 3 real quick. It's not really.
No, I mean it's all right.
No, it's 3 now.
It's 3 now. Sorry, you have long.
All right, I'll stay on the screen. I'm coming back. I have to do NFL in a few games anyway, so I might as well hang out. Do we have a template with me, Toast, and Scoop?
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
And Toast is coming on the screen for those of you that haven't seen him. Dead. Yeah, I forgot Toast existed. No college basketball for a few days. All right, Prop Beaver's going to get the screen set up. We're going to talk about 3 college basketball games. Starting next week, we're back. We got a full college basketball slate next Saturday. We're officially into conference play, right?
Yeah.
Let's go. It's time.
Really quickly, I've gotten 1,000 messages. Yes, I'm aware of the Corbin Burns signing to Arizona. Is it an overpay? Sure, because he's not that good. But at the same time, when you take a look at that division, guys, I mean, the Dodgers, the Padres, I mean, obviously the Rockies suck, but I mean, that's you have to do that to compete in that division. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm going to talk to Kyle. I'm going to have Andy or Beaver set up like a hot stove in the next week or so. We can just go through all of this information. But yeah, I've seen it. I'm aware. If the Padres don't get Roki Sasaki, I'm in piss. So
If the Padres don't get him,
yeah, I mean, because they haven't spent any money, there's nobody left. I mean, yeah, it's just, yeah, we'll see what happens.
all right.
Would hate to see you in piss, man.
Hate to see you in piss. All right, so Toast, how have the last few days been? What have you been doing?
Good. Preparing a little bit for baseball. I've also been sick. This is the first time I've been sick like this in probably 10 years. I can't hear out of my left ear still. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, it's so random. It feels like there's something in there. I don't go to the doctor.
Sinus, bro. You have swollen sinus.
Dude, I've tried that. Tried cocaine, got it all out. It didn't work. Oh. I'm just kidding. But no, seriously. I've tried every medicine in the sea. I feel better now. So I did my write-ups yesterday and stuff like that. I'm still working. It's just I feel like dog shit. It is what it is. But you move past it.
Did you see why Andy isn't on the show today?
No. The tacos.
The tacos. For those of you that don't know, don't know, Andy's girlfriend is Latina, and I mean very Latina, as in her father doesn't even speak English. And he went to her family's house, and I guess the mom made tacos, and he's sick.
He was too kidding. No, he was too white for the tacos. That's what happened. Like, he's not used to authentic
they
Mexican
spiked his
food.
taco.
Yeah, that wasn't Chipotle. That was authentic.
Yeah, it's not Taco Bell. This is actual Mexican food. He couldn't handle it.
And you know how I know it's bad?
Ate there before? I have so many questions.
No, well, every time I've what is it? I always go to Chipotle every day. So he's ordered his bowl with me before. Dude gets chicken, rice, and beans. I'm like, you don't want anything else? Nope. That's it. So I think they spiked him with like a pepper or something.
Yeah, they put lettuce in it.
Well, or tomato.
Do you know how I know it's like serious that he must be really sick? Because he's been working with us for a year and a half, and I think this is the first time he's ever called out of a day.
I know.
So those tacos must have blasted him, bro.
Yeah, and I call out.
God, that's all I can think about now. I thought you were kidding when you said that earlier.
No, he legitimately called out of work because of tacos.
And I call out 15 times a week, so this is nice.
Oh. All right. Anyway, let's talk about a few college basketball games. Someone said the mom juiced the tacos. All right. Ole Miss, Memphis. You guys know I have nothing to say, so go ahead.
Scoop, tell everybody why you should bet Ole Miss.
I'll start, even though this is Toast's biggest bet of the year, so now I feel like an asshole. But last time I bet Memphis, they got absolutely rolled by Mississippi State at home, and it was mainly turnovers that killed them. Actually, every time they lose, it's because they're careless. 20 to Arkansas State, 18 to that Mississippi State loss. I just don't trust them holding onto the ball right now. I know they're awesome shooters. They're 8th in three-point percentage. They get to the line a lot. But Ole Miss can definitely take advantage of these turnovers. Ole Miss gets around 17 turnovers a game on defense. They're great in points off turnovers. And they take care of the ball a bunch. They're actually third in turnovers on defense, first and fewest turnovers allowed. I know both of these teams play really fast, but I think Ole Miss is a better team than Memphis. I know Toast is just going to yell at me about that.
No, I agree with that. I mean,
Memphis's schedule has been an absolute gauntlet. I just think it's too much, really. They're going after extremely tough games, one after one, because they're conference games, which Memphis is going to probably roll over a lot of these teams. They're getting up to play these tough games. I think it's going to take a toll on them. I think it's starting to is. I just feel like they're going to struggle here against again here offensively against a pretty tough defense. Not the best defense, but it's still capable. Like I said, they're capable of definitely creating turnovers and pressuring the ball. Like I said, I think this Ole Miss team is better all around except for the 3-point shooting. So I took Ole Miss, but I am scared because Toast put a lot of money on it, so I will let him talk about it.
Yeah, it's my biggest bet of the year. Part of it, I will say, is Kyle wants us to do these bet of the days and stuff like this, and this was by far.
Well, that's for videos though.
No, that's cool. I wasn't trying to make you as an out. I was just saying like that played into it in my head, so I wasn't going to put a half a unit on it. But I really, really do like Memphis here today. So for me, a couple things. first of all, when I first looked at this game, I really thought it was weird that Mississippi or Ole Miss, whoever you want to call them, was getting points. I think I agree with Scoop. I think that they're the better team. I don't want to make a case. This isn't like me trying to make a case that Ole Miss is terrible and they're overrated and yada, yada, yada. I mean, just keep in mind, I mean, it was 2 weeks ago when everybody on this panel had them catching 3.5 against Louisville and on the money line, and they actually smoked Louisville in that game, and that was awesome. And I also think that Memphis is one of those teams, like Scoop said, that can look really, really good at times because they can shoot and they can handle the ball, but at the same time, they can look really, really bad at times because they're very careless with the ball at times. But for me, the first thing that really noticed that jumped out to me is the schedules. Memphis, I think Scoop touched on it a little bit. Memphis has played an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. They're played a top 4 schedule in the country. The worst team that they've played this year is Ohio, who's 158 in KenPom. Besides that, I mean, the 3 losses, 1 to Auburn, 1 to a very, very good Mississippi State team, and 1 against an Arkansas State team that, yes, Arkansas State's number 97 in KenPom, but that was a weird Sunday game. Again, not making excuses, they lost that game, but I just don't put a ton of stock into that game for Memphis. I mean, they right after that game, 3 or 4 days later, they went on the road to Clemson and won that game in overtime, a game they should have lost. And now they're playing a Mississippi team, which I know that they've looked really good right now, but the strength is they've absolutely played nobody, and that's the part for me that's really hard here. You have a Mississippi State or a Mississippi team that has played the number, let me find it in my notes, 332nd strength of schedule in the country. Their 1 loss was to Purdue, which is I'm at a point right now where I don't even think that Purdue is a very good basketball team. So again, that game was on a neutral. The other game that they had, I guess the only other really two solid wins that they have is BYU and Louisville. Louisville's not a very good team. They didn't have their best player. And BYU game, they could have lost that game. That game went to overtime, and I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me find it. They outscored BYU 19-8 in overtime. Again, I think that's just more variance and luck more than anything to me. And I will give you that again. I just feel like Mississippi. Okay. On top of that, you have a Memphis team that, yes, just lost to Mississippi State, but at the same time, look at and not that Ole Miss isn't a very good defense. That's what Chris Beard does. They're 6th in the nation in turnovers, but it's not like Memphis hasn't seen teams that can play good defense. Obviously, Mississippi State is their top 50 team in turnovers. They're top 30 in defensive efficiency. Virginia's fucking terrible, but they can play defense. Clemson's a top 30 defensive team. Auburn, Michigan State, San Francisco, Missouri's a top 100 team. UNLV 121, and all those teams also in the top essentially 100 in creating turnovers as well. So I just feel like what you're essentially getting Mississippi off of Mississippi looking really, really good, playing really, really bad competition, now coming on the road to play their second true road game. And that first road game was against Louisville that didn't have their best player, against a Memphis team that has played the absolute gauntlet, one of the best schedules in the country, coming off a loss, now staying at home. I just really love the spot for Memphis more than anything. I mean, is it possible that they turn the ball over a lot and they lose this game? Absolutely, yes. But at the same time, I mean, Memphis does a pretty good job of forcing turnovers themselves as well. And like I was talking about earlier with this strength of schedule for Ole Miss, I think that some of their numbers have been aided by a bad schedule. They haven't been forced to play at teams like Memphis. So Memphis is also one of the most experienced teams in the country, and that's where I feel like Ole Miss is going to catch people sleeping sometimes because they have this really experienced roster that's very well coached. Say what you want about Penny Hardaway, but they've been playing pretty damn decent this year. And like I said, I think that experience matching up with Ole Miss is huge. Coming out of the break at home, again, I just really, really hate the spot for Ole Miss. I also feel like that +1.5 is very trappy because, I mean, I don't think there's any question Ole Miss is the better team in my opinion. But at the same time, I just spot-wise and the way that Memphis has been playing and the step down in class that they're going to be, I think that Memphis is the side here.
Damn, likes Memphis.
I think it's opened at 1.5 both sides too. I think Memphis was +1.5 on some books too. Yeah. So.
All right, next up we got the Zags. UCLA. Is this a true road game?
No. It's in Inglewood.
Yeah, UConn just drove down the field. They kicked the field goal, by the way, 3-0 UConn.
It's at the Clippers Stadium.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think? I don't have an opinion.
I just didn't know if you were going to talk more about UConn, so I didn't want to interrupt you. It's Zags for me or pass. I didn't bet this game. my issue is this. I'm kind of high on UCLA. And I don't know a lot of people high on UCLA, but I am quite high on this team, and I really don't know what to think in this situation. First of all, I think that you have a Gonzaga team that has played obviously a very, very good schedule. But at the same time, if we're being honest, I mean, when they have stepped up in competition, they haven't looked great. Obviously, Kentucky and UConn are easy ones to point out, the West Virginia game. But at the same time, I mean, I get the first game against Baylor. Obviously, they won that game pretty easily. But is San Diego State really that good of a basketball team? Not really. Indiana, Davidson, Nichols, Bucknell. So, again, Gonzaga has scheduled themselves a very good schedule playing those bigger name teams. So it looks good, but at the same time, I'm not at a spot where I feel like super comfortable to lay multiple possessions with this Gonzaga team against a UCLA team that every time that they looked really good. They've played a very bad schedule. I will give them that. That North Carolina loss their last time out last weekend was a pretty bad loss. They only lost by 2, but they definitely should have won that game. That was another one of those North Carolina comebacks in the second half. But my issue with what we're going to see with UCLA today is the times that UCLA has struggled in this season so far is the games that can really push you, the teams that can push you in transition. Obviously, they ended up winning that game against Oregon, but that Oregon game, that could have went either way for them. They probably should have lost that. Not to mention this New Mexico is another team like that, I mean, it's really hard to get them, really hard to stop them out in transition. And UCLA ended up doing that, but they didn't really look that great in doing that. Obviously, they lost that game. So the North Carolina game, the New Mexico game, and the Oregon game were the 3 games that I really wanted to look at as far as how these teams are going to match up compared to Gonzaga. So I feel like those are the games that UCLA has struggled with, and I think that the step up in class is really going to stunt UCLA and what they're going to be able to do. They also can't shoot free throws to save their life, which is really big for me. So if Cronin wants to try to slow this game down, I think that he's going to be able to do that a little bit. But at the same time, I do feel like Gonzaga should be able to score pretty easily inside. I mean, EK and Huff have been doing pretty damn good for them. I think Huff can only continue to get better. And believe it or not, I mean, my boy Dusty Stromer started to play some minutes, starting to look somewhat decent, scored 10 points or more in 4 of his last 5 games. So if Gonzaga is starting to get production from guys like Dusty Stromer off the bench, then possibly Gonzaga might win this game by 10. I do think this is probably one of this, if not the hardest game that UCLA is going to see this year. But at the same time, I really, really like this UCLA team. I think they're extremely talented, and Gonzaga is at a point right now where you cannot trust them, at least laying points. Again, if you think that they're going to win, so be it. I agree with that. But I'm just not at a spot right now where I can lay points on a neutral with this Gonzaga team for what they've seen me. Because like I said, every time that they've stepped up in competition, they haven't really looked great. And the times that they've looked good were teams like Baylor, which was their first game of the season. I don't really put too much stock into that. I mean, do you really think that Gonzaga's 40 points better than Baylor? No. And San Diego State's a kind of a weaker team. So again, it's just really hard for me to lay 4 points with Gonzaga or 4.5 or whatever it is right now. But I do think that they win, but I'm just not going to do it.
I couldn't tell.
I think he's on UCLA, right? You're on UCLA, right?
It would be Gonzaga or pass.
Well, I thought you said Gonzaga in the beginning, but then at the end it sounded like
it's just Scoop. I have no side.
I mean, following that, I was talking about the Zags. It's hard. He said pretty much everything that I wanted to say.
I'm sorry.
I hate to grease. What is it? Greasing his wheels, or as the Canadians say, pumping his tires. But I'm gonna go with the Zags. I listen. Gonzaga's won the last 4 years in this matchup. This one's on a neutral site, so it's. I mean, it's really how much do you believe in UCLA? UCLA had wins against Washington, Oregon, Arizona. Then they blew that 16-point lead against North Carolina. But really, Oregon's maybe the best team of them 4, and even that's a stretch. Gonzaga's a better team than all 4 of those teams. And really, the Zags need this one for their resume, I think. They're 2-3 in quad 1 wins, quad 1 games this year. So, and this is the last ranked team I think Gonzaga's going to play the rest of the season, personally. Because that conference right now is not the best.
Whoa, you don't know shit
about
really, the Gales.
St. Mary's
is bad this year.
Like bad. Like
just wait.
Just bad.
I think, like Toast said, I think the Zags will dominate the paint, especially Ike. But he has a good counterpart in Huff right now. the size is going to be there for the Zags. They should win the rebound advantage on both sides. They should be able to score down low pretty easily. But even on the perimeter and on defense, Gonzaga is going to match up well. Battle and Hickman are both really athletic. They can both play solid defense. I'm not a believer in this UCLA team yet. If they beat the Zags, sure, I can see they're for real. But right now, Gonzaga is just a deeper team. They're a better team overall. I think they're maybe a bit on the overrated side right now. Sorry, Toast. But the size and talent, I think, is going to be too much for UCLA. So I bet this. I bet the Zags -4.
All right, one more college basketball game, and then we got NFL.
Football.
Trust me, guys. I would love to come on here and say Zags are in a smash spot, but I don't lie to you guys. I can't lie to you guys.
Would you come on and say Utah State outright is a smash?
Yes.
I disagree. I'll go first. I think San Diego's a better team here. I like the spot for them. Last 10 games, San Diego State 7-3 straight up, 7-3 against the spread against Utah State. Nick Boyd and Miles Bird, BJ Davis are going to have a good game. I think they're going to be – I mean, really, it's their only offense, so they better have a good game. But San Diego makes their way on defense like usual. The 22nd in the country in scoring defense, 13th in defensive rating. Utah State, obviously, they really do have the advantage on offense, but they're coming off a big win against St. Mary's, which we just said isn't great. And that was their only true road game this season so far. But they haven't been dominant like last year's Utah State's team. They've taken a big step, not a big step, but a step back in terms of offensive production. And San Diego State's a tough place to play. This team's already beaten Houston and Creighton on neutral floors. They won 23 of their last 24 against unranked teams at home. The thing with Utah State is they've been winning these games. They've been pretty much expected to win, except that St. Mary's game, which St. Mary's is having a down year in general. I just like San Diego State here at home. This was 3.5. It's getting kind of to the spot where I don't want to bet them. But I think it was 5, I think now. The last time
I got 5.5 this morning when we did.
Yeah, so I mean, if this stayed at 3.5 like it opened, I would definitely be more comfortable betting San Diego State. But 5.5 may be a little too much. But I would definitely still take San Diego State here and at home.
Toast is on the other side.
Yeah, I'm on Utah State here. I didn't sprinkle the money line because it is a road game for them. But at the same time, I guess I just don't really understand this number. Utah State, I really truly believe is one of the top 40 teams in the country. And the only time that they've hadn't even looked bad was against UC San Diego, and UC San Diego still a top top 75 team in the country, and they lost that game by 2. And then they came up right after that, as Scoop mentioned, and they beat that St. Mary's team pretty handily. And yes, St. Mary's is in a little bit of a down year. I will give them that. But at the same time, I mean, what has San Diego State really done against anybody that's impressive? I mean, is Creighton a good basketball team? I don't really think so. They ended up killing Creighton on a neutral. That's awesome. Then the game right before that, they obviously got smacked up by Gonzaga. Oregon got to them pretty well. And the Houston game is the one game that like really looks good for San Diego State. But that was like almost essentially an absolute melt for Houston. I mean, Houston had that game in control for 95% of the game. And then the last 8 minutes of that game, San Diego State goes on like an 8-0 run or something like that, and they end up winning that game in overtime. So I'm not even in a spot where, I guess the Houston win looks really good, but I'm not at a spot where I feel like I'm comfortable with them laying multiple possessions against the Utah State team that, again, Scoop touched on it, is by far the better offensive team. I don't think there's any question about that. And I also feel like if there's one thing that goes well for Utah State here today is that San Diego State really likes to shoot the 3 ball, and that's the one thing that Utah State has really done a good job defending. They don't really play well inside because they're not the biggest team in the country. But as far as defending the 3 ball, they've done really, really well at that. Not to mention the fact that we have a close game with our 2 teams that are very different in styles of pace. You have a Utah State team that likes to get out and run and play in transition, and you have a San Diego State team that likes to play slow. But my issue with that is that let's just say that this game slows down and Utah State's not going to be jacking up threes because they're a really bad 3-point shooting team. I still feel like Utah State dominates this game because they're by far a better offensive rebounding team, and that's not even a question. Utah State's almost, I think, a top 10 offensive rebounding team in the country. They're one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country, and they're shooting nearly 58% from inside the arc as a team. So obviously San Diego State's defense is very good, but if, again, obviously with this line starting at 3, the bookmaker's telling you that this game's probably going to be within a couple possessions. And if you're going to give me a Utah State team that I trust to hit shots and hit their free throws against a San Diego State team that can't hit their free throws, that's shooting less than 70% from a team. Oh, and by the way, Utah State is one of the best teams in the country in not fouling as well. I just have a hard time believing that San Diego State's going to beat us offensively, scoring more points. So, again, I played Utah State plus 5.5. I was going to play it at 4.5. I just feel like this number's wrong. I honestly believe that Utah State is live in this game. I think that what Jared Calhoun is really doing over there is really impressive. They've played a somewhat of a decent schedule. Yes, obviously San Diego State's played a better schedule, but at the same time, all those schedules were on a neutral against teams in that tournament, and they were kind of 50-50 in that. I don't really put too much into it. The last 4 games for San Diego State, Fresno State, San Diego, Cal Baptist, and California. All those teams are at least 100 spots, if not 200 spots worse in KenPom than Utah State. Not to mention, like I said, Utah State is one of those teams that's kind of needs these type of wins. Again, I think they're probably going to end up winning their conference in the Mountain West. Some people might say no. Some people might say San Diego State. But I think this in a conference game, this first conference game of the year, I would assume we have a close game here. So if I'm getting 5.5, essentially 2.5 or 2 full possessions with a better free throw shooting team and the team that doesn't rely on a 3-point shot, there's no question I'm going to take it.
All right, let's move on to the NFL. You guys both out of here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. We should have a Toast Beaver 3-person template.
Probably, yeah.
See you guys.
So we are on to the NFL, where the markets move against me.
2 of my 3 plays this morning have moved against me. It's okay. It's all good.
So yeah, as you guys know, market moved against me in this one. I got Patriots plus 5.5. It's at plus 6 now, and I honestly was pretty confident that I was going to close at 4.5 when I took it at 5.5. I thought I was getting the best of the number. So it's difficult to anticipate the movement of that sometimes. So yeah, I'm on Patriots plus 5.5. I do think it's the correct side, but hey, we'll see. Road favorites have been extremely profitable in the NFL this year. Like extremely profitable, like 32-9 or something against the spread. So this is another road favorite in the Chargers. Betting these type of spots, if you're on the Chargers, has been extremely profitable this year. In years past, it's been the opposite of that. Home dogs have usually been a good bet. But I'm on the Patriots because, all right, so we all remember the Thursday night game we just saw about 9 days ago where Justin Herbert looked great against the Broncos, and I loved it. I love that second half. I was on the Chargers in that game. That being said, we can't let that one game distract us from what was going on in the 3 or 4 games before that when this Chargers offense wasn't looking good. In the 3 games before that, in the 4 games before that, Justin Herbert was averaging 6.3 yards per attempt. So it's important to remember that this Chargers offense entering that game against the Broncos was looking really bad. So they had one great game against Denver. We can't just forget what was going on before that. In this particular matchup, I mean, the Patriots are running more man coverage than any other team in the NFL. Justin Herbert's got terrible numbers against man. I'm talking about 30-30 completion percentage, 24th in passer rating. They also run a lot of cover 1. Justin Herbert, terrible against cover 1. So, I mean, I like the matchup for the Patriots defense here. Chargers haven't been able to run the ball for a while now. It looked like the run game was coming back for him for a second. Maybe J.K. Dobbins returning to the lineup health. Is he definitely returning?
I mean, I believe he's going to be back today. I don't know if they officially activated
I'm just
going
to search on Twitter if there's been an update on that.
I believe he's back today, yes.
He is?
I just said I believe. I'm doing stuff with the graphics right now.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, it looks like J.K. Dobbins is going to be back, but Gus Edwards is out. So, I mean, they get Dobbins back. How many carries is he even going to get? I think the Patriots defense, although they're riddled with injuries, I think they actually can play well. But really, what I like about this bet is the other side. The Chargers defense looks straight up terrible recently. I mean, terrible. Where is it? Right here. Since week 10, the Chargers are allowing 20. If you take out the one game against Kirk Cousins where he threw him 4 picks, they're allowing 26.7 points per game, 6.5 yards per play. This defense has looked really bad. They're on the road here in Foxborough against a Patriots offense that looks really good. In Drake May's last 3 games, he's got a 74.6% success rate. The Patriots offense is clicking. The Chargers defense is trending downwards. So I actually like the matchup on that side. Not to mention the Patriots offensive line may be getting both Cole Strange and Caden Wallace back. Their left guard and their right tackle. Caden Wallace hasn't played since week 4. Cole Strange hasn't played all year. So we very well may be looking at the healthiest Patriots offensive line we've seen all year. Remember, this entire time, the Patriots are playing this season missing 4 starters on their offensive line. They may have 4 of their 5 starters 3 of their 5 starters, which would be by far the healthiest they've been all year. So yeah, I think this is way too many. I think the Patriots could potentially win. I don't have the money line, but I think this is a field goal game. So I'm on Patriots plus 5.5. Like I said, and as I'm sure you've deducted, market's moving against me here. Move from 5.5 to 6.
Yeah. So for this one, I was originally leaning with the Patriots plus 4.5 on you, but I think the thing that really kept me off here was looking at Ramondre Stevenson's rush attempts and rush yards line. I mean, just so beyond suspiciously low based on the season-long hit rates. And I mean, on top of that, you see the reverse line movement, or well, maybe not the reverse alignment, but just the line movement going from the 4.5 to the 6. So I guess the books, I feel here, are comfortable playing against the Patriots. I guess anyway, no matter how this game goes, I like the May over his passing yards plus rush yards and Herbert under his total yards. So let's get into it. May, I feel like we're getting a bit of a value here due to the fact that one of his games he was injured, one of the games he came in relief. But in healthy starts, he's 6-3 to the over, averaging 271, 3-0 to the over at home, averaging 296 yards per game. Now going to face a Chargers defense that has fallen off dramatically towards the latter half of the season. They've allowed the last 6 to 8 QBs they faced over their pass plus rush line, averaging 266. And the Chargers defense runs too high at the 3rd highest rate in the league. May is dramatically more efficient against these looks. He goes from 31st in yards per attempt against 1 high to 3rd against 2 high. And if you look at, I already mentioned the Ramondre Stevenson thing. If they anticipate the Patriots to be trailing here, I mean, we're just going to get more dropbacks, more opportunities for scrambles, more opportunities for pass attempts against that 2 high. I think that Drake May is in a great spot to cash that number here. So I took it at the 245.5. No problem with that. And then I took Herbert under here. Last 7 to 9 QBs to face the Patriots have flown under their line. They're averaging just 217 yards per game. And they're averaging not only the yards per game is so low, but just 29 attempts per game. We got Herbert's attempts line between 31 and 32.5 here, with just 35 or less attempts on the road going back to 2022. 9-2 to the under, averaging just 207. 15-4 overall during the span, averaging just 207 as well. And it's just not a great matchup for Herbert, as Kyle was mentioning. I mean, Patriots lead the league in man coverage, much worse against man. Patriots defense also suddenly turning it on. I mean, you look at the last 3 games, allowing just 5.8 yards per attempt, a 73 passer rating. We got J.K. Dobbins likely back for this matchup. I see the Chargers leaning a bit more on the run here with him back. Kamani Vidal, a bit, I get he was a bit ass last week, but he kind of catching his groove in this offense. And I added the rushing yards here because the Patriots have been extremely stout against rushing QBs. On top of that, Herbert's rushing splits dramatically worse on the road, as well as against man coverage. So those are my 2 plays for this one. If I had a lean, it would be the Patriots, but not loving that reverse line movement.
Toast, let me guess. Kicker over.
Kicker over, but I also played the Patriots as well. So Dicker over 7.5 kicking points. Just one of those guys that I'm going to continue to play each and every week. I think he's hit this number in like 5 of his last 7 games. So Dicker's one of the guys that I trust. And then I also tailed you with the Patriots. Obviously, I love all your reasonings. I also like the fact that you have a San Diego team traveling across the country, not to mention in the time zone. So this game is going to be played at 4 o'clock your guys' time or whatever. So it's really a noon game for them. I just really don't like that. And also, not that I put too much into it, but I like looking at like the luck rankings from Action Network and other places like that. And the Chargers are top 5 in 3 different websites as far as luckiest teams in the NFL. So I don't put too much stock into that, but you put all that together, especially with them traveling to the East Coast in this weird early time spot. I thought it was a really good spot to take the points.
All right, next game. Next game is Denver, Cincinnati. little worried about this one, if I'm being honest. I kind of wish so those of you in the Discord already know this. I took the Bengals early as shit. I was on the Bengals -3 almost immediately. Really was confident that one was going to close. I mean, it actually is at 3.5, but I'm pretty sure you could still get a 3. So, yeah, you could still get a 3 if you look. So, that one didn't really move like I thought it was going to. Jumped on, like I said, early in the week. And the more, this is the downside of trying to jump on bets early. When you later in the week, as you look at more, you gather more information and you take a deeper look at the game. And for me, in my process, it's making the video. When I make the video, that's often when I really. That's why making the videos is huge for me, because it almost forces me to be thorough. Where sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I'm on the Bengals, let's go. But if I have to make a YouTube video, it forces me to go through all the steps because I have to go through everything. So I kind of wish I took the over instead, if I'm being honest, or a Bengals team total over. I do think this is a favorable matchup for Bo Nix. You can look at the last few games for the Bengals and say, hey, Cincinnati's starting to play some defense. You can. Their defensive numbers don't look bad in the last 3 weeks. Yeah, you played Cooper Rush. You played Will Levis. You played, who was the other team they played?
DTR, the GOAT.
DTR. They played Cooper Rush, Will Levis, and DTR. Shit, I hope you have some nice-looking numbers against the pass. You played 3 Big 12 quarterbacks. So I think it could be a sell high. Sell high on the Bengals defense sounds crazy to even say, but Bengals defense looks good the last 3 games. Now you got Bo Nix, who is throwing the ball downfield. He should have plenty of time to throw in this game. I also think Denver can run the ball, by the way, which is crazy. Denver hasn't been able to run the ball in forever, but Cincinnati's defensive front is so fucked right now. I mean, they're missing Hubbard. They're missing Logan Wilson. They're missing Rankins. 3 starters of the starting front 7. They're also missing a couple corners. I mean, this Bengals defense, touchdown UConn. Let's go. Today's a marvelous day. I'm feeling it today. What was I talking about?
No one knows.
So yeah, I kind of wish I took the over instead of the Bengals. I am on Cincinnati plus -3. If I was to bet it right now, I would probably just take Cincinnati team total over, because that offense is an unstoppable rebel force doing historical things. So yeah, that's what I have to say.
A rebel force. Interesting. Yeah, so I just wanted to address 2 comments. Devin Martin said he took the Vidal rushing yards. I know JK is back, but I don't think they will run him into the ground today. And if the Chargers stay ahead, they'll use Vidal to run a bit of the clock out. I think that is sharp as hell, my man. I already got 2 bets in that game, but it's supposed to be a bit rainy in that one as well. Like rushing overs against the Patriots have been free as hell. I think that's a very good play, Devin. So shout out to you on that one. And then I also saw somebody say Chase Brown over 19.5. I don't know if that was the opening line, but if you got that, I mean, that is one hell of a play right there. I'm on Chase Brown. I got it over 26.5 last night. I would still play it at 28.5. I love this one. We're going with Brown over receiving yards here. Since Zach Moss went down, we've seen Chase Brown be a incredibly potent receiver out of the backfield with Joe Burrow. He's cleared the mark in 5 of 7 games, averaging 39 yards per game, 5 receptions, and a whopping 6 targets. And he's under 2 straight, so we're catching a bit of value here. Now going to face this Broncos defense that, before Riley Moss went down, was a cash cow for opposing running backs out of the backfield. We saw the position average 60 yards per game, 6 receptions, and 8.8 yards per reception during that 5-game span. That is most, second most, and 5th most in the NFL. Now he's going to return, and that should help deter Riley Moss is returning, and that should help deter Burrow from wanting to stretch the field and throw to his main guys here. That's especially because the Broncos blitz at one of the highest rates in the NFL. If we look at since Zach Moss went down, Brown, when Burrow is blitzed, he has 2.11 yards per route run. That is nearly a full yard more than when Burrow is not blitzed, so we see that efficiency spike. On top of that, Brown has nabbed 3+ receptions in 7 straight starts, and with 3+ against Denver, we've seen 5 straight running backs kill their totals, averaging 42 yards per game. I really like this one. We see Browns to record 4+ receptions here, juice to the gills. With 4+ targets, nevertheless receptions, Brown is over in 4 straight games, averaging 53 yards per game. So, with Riley Moss backing at him this week, I think it's time to go back to the running backs versus Denver system. Vidal's bum ass burned us last week, but we did see, I think it was Hassan Haskins actually take one to the house. So it was still another running back that got it done, just not our running back. So, yep, running backs against Denver out of the backfield.
Yes, someone asked is playoff implications for Denver. So Denver needs one more win to secure a playoff spot. They're probably in either way, but if they win this week or win next week, they're in. Or also if the Colts lose, the Broncos are like pretty much definitely in. The Broncos are a team that like a lot of things need to go wrong for them to. So yes, there is playoff implications, but if they lose this week, they just have to win next week. And who do they play next week? Oh, never mind. They play Kansas City. Well, Kansas City probably resting everybody. So they play next week home game against Kansas City, who's probably resting everybody. So there's that.
You just had that grand celebration for UConn, and they returned the kick the next one.
Beaver, I have a serious question for you.
It's a good day. It's a glorious day.
Is Joe Burrow passing yards at 184? Is that like super high? Like I know the only reason I asked that is because
Wait,
it
what
feels
did you just say it is?
284.
Oh, I thought you said 184. I was like, what? 284.
No, I just know since week 9, Denver's been the worst team in the NFL defending the pass, but I just felt like that number was pretty damn high. I was just kind of curious your thoughts on that because I didn't want to like walk into the ass trap.
284 is quite damn high, and the matchup really isn't good for him. I feel like it all depends on how you think about the game because, I mean, as I played it last week, when the Bengals lose the game, Burrow's going over his passing yards. I mean, they're just airing that bitch out. But when he wins the game, I mean, he flies under pretty much every single time. So, I mean, it really depends on how you think the game script's going to go.
Yeah. So, all right. I played Cincinnati with Sauce. I was just curious about the Bengal thing or the Burrow thing because I thought that number was very, very high. And I know that the Broncos defense, especially in the passing game, hasn't been as great since week 9. But, I mean, I just felt like that was crazy high.
Okay.
Hey, why don't we switch it over to the next game? Why don't you also put everyone on the screen?
The Bengals defense has actually played somewhat decent the last few weeks, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, we talked about it, though. It was against, like, Mo, Larry, and Curly. Like, it was.
I'm just saying, at least 7 interceptions and 9 sacks against Mo, Larry, and Curly or Beaver. I mean, that's better than nothing.
No, I know. I've got some pretty good accuracy, too, once you get me out of the pocket.
Oh, I've seen it.
All right, so we're going to talk about are we going to talk Rams ball?
We can talk Rams ball.
Fuck the Rams.
All right, so probably just getting the poll up. We'll go through the last game here.
I actually have PTSD from that game last week, and not because of the Rams, because of that disgrace.
I shouldn't say that about the Rams. It's more of me putting on my money to the Seahawks to win the division. Just a shit bet all around.
They can still win it.
It's not your
yes,
fault,
they can.
It's really
they
Gino's
can.
fault.
I don't care. They should have already wrapped it up. That team's a joke.
That was a pathetic game performance
bad.
Thursday night. All right, Property, would you like to share your thoughts on Kyler Murray?
Would I like to share my thoughts on Kyler?
Yeah, you should have seen. He was imitating that. He was doing that. He was imitating Kyler Murray
crying on the sideline of Carolina last week. I mean, truly sad. What did I say going into the season? I was wrong about many things during the season, before the season. I'll be wrong about things after the season. But one thing I was dead right about is the fact that Kyler Murray is an absolute fucking bum, and that Marvin Harrison Jr. was not going to add anything to this offense. And guess what? It hasn't added shit, brother. This dude fucking stinks. So, I don't know. If you want me to talk about Kyler Murray, I would like to be positive. I've been on a positive wave lately. I don't have anything nice to say about Kyler, so I'm not going to talk about Kyler. What I do have to say is I got a lot of nice things to say about Kyren Williams, and I'm taking his over 1 and 2.5 rushing plus receiving yards. Kind of a key number there, the 102.5. That's on FanDuel, so would do some shopping around. If you're not on the FanDuel 102.5, that's fine, but let's get on FanDuel, people. So Kyren Williams has done numbers against the Cardinals through 3 starts. He's cleared the mark in 2 of them, averaging 138 yards per game, 16 attempts, 3.9 receptions. So he's getting tons of look here. And when he failed to clear the mark against them earlier this season, let's put some context into that. Puka was inactive. Kupp got hurt mid-game, placing the Cardinals' defensive attention solely on Kyren Williams, and the Rams were getting their ass kicked. I mean, it was a terrible situation for him. It also didn't help that his starting left tackle and his starting left guards in that one, Alaric Jackson and Steve Avila, they were inactive for that game. So both are healthy for this one. We got a healthy Kupp and Puka. I think things are really working for him in this one. And while efficiency's definitely been a roller coaster for Kyren Williams a bit as of late, the usage has been absurd his last 4 games. He's over the mark in 3 of 4, averaging 113 yards per game, 24 rush attempts per game, And the Rams during this span are dead last in early down pass rate at 38%. For comparison, weeks 1 through 12, they were 8th at 55%. So they are just getting in there and they are running the living shit out of the ball. And this Cardinals rush defense, they started off the season terribly on the ground. Then weeks 7 through 12, it's like, all right, are we seeing a little bit of respect from this Cardinals defense? Should we show them some class? All of a sudden, out of the bye, weeks 13 through 16, they have been a modern-day atrocity again. The last 4 weeks, 5.8 yards per carry, 45% success rate, 151 yards per game they've been surrendering. Not only do the Rams have a massive edge in terms of the trenches, but in terms of rush concept as well. This is a Rams team that loves to run the gap concept. Cardinals 30th in yards per carry defending it. We've now seen 3 straight running backs annihilate their total yards line against Arizona, averaging 147 yards per game on 20 attempts. And I like Kyron to hit that 20-plus attempt mark again that he's destroyed in 3 straight, averaging 27 attempts per game. With even just 19, Kyron's a guy who's 12-4 to the over in his career. So, yeah, really like Kyron Williams here. Kyler, I'm a bit sorry I took it so hard on you earlier, but I had 2 units on Marvin last week, and that was fucked.
I like how Prop Beaver was like, no, I don't have anything nice to say about Kyler Murray, so I'm not going to talk about him directly after shitting on him for about 60 seconds.
No, I just let it go.
All right. One sec.
The Rams should kill this team, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm on the Rams. I got Rams minus 6.5. I got Cardinals team total under 20.5.
I mean, the last time, not only do they have revenge, Nakua didn't play. Cooper Kupp only played like 2 quarters of that game. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
I mean, the first game between these two, didn't read a ton into it. The offensive line was a mess during that game too, when the Cardinals beat up on the Rams early in the season. I mean, and also if you want to talk, okay, you want to bring up the game early in the season, you could also, there should be a graphic. I posted a, all right. If you want to talk about, okay, what happened earlier in the season, all right, you want to talk about matchup history, let's talk about how the Rams own the Cardinals. They're like the Cardinals are like 3-13. That's a first down. What a catch!
Hey now,
UConn Huskies. So yeah, the Cardinals are owned. They're property of the Rams. I believe they're 3-13 in their last 16 matchups against them. So okay, they beat them earlier this year. The Rams' offensive line was a mess. Huge play. The Rams' offensive line is a mess back then. They're completely good to go now. But really, on paper, it's actually not a bad matchup for Kyler Murray. The Rams' pass rush hasn't been quite as potent recently. They're actually 27th in pressure rate since week 10. Kyler Murray, as we know, when he has time in the pocket, he is capable of being a good quarterback. Under pressure, he's terrible. So, okay, the Rams' pass rush hasn't been very good. Maybe this is a good matchup for Kyler Murray. The Rams also run a lot of zone coverage, a lot of cover 3, more favorable matchups for Kyler Murray. Here's why I don't trust the Cardinals' offense at all. Have you seen the condition of that offensive line? It is a crime scene over there in Arizona. This offensive line was already kind of messed up. They've been missing Will Hernandez the entire season, but now they're out Jonah Williams at right tackle. They're out Paris Johnson Jr. at left tackle. And by the way, last game against Carolina, that was the first time we saw we saw the Cardinals play without Paris Johnson Jr. at left tackle. The Panthers, who have the worst pass rush in the NFL, the Panthers pressured Kyler Murray on just over 43% of his dropbacks. So the Panthers, the worst pass rush in the NFL, had nonstop pressure on Kyler Murray with no Paris Johnson Jr. at left tackle. Now you take out the right tackle also, because he got hurt in that game. There's no left tackle. There's no right tackle. There's no right guard. The left guard's questionable in Evan Brown. What are we expecting the Cardinals to do here with no offensive line? So it's not so much that I like. It sounds like Prop Beaver likes the Rams offense. I like the Rams defense more. If you take out
like the running back.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll be able to run the ball. I can get on board with that. I don't really like the matchup for Matt Stafford, and the Rams offense, other than the Bills game, has looked a little shaky. I don't think the Cardinals offense is going to do shit because of that offensive line. So Rams obviously need this game. The Cardinals season ended last week. I like the Rams to win by about 13. I actually think the Rams can win comfortably. So I'm on the Rams, and I also bet Cardinals team total under.
Yeah, is James Conner even playing? I know he got hurt in the third quarter.
He's gonna go, but he's banged up. I mean, I think that's another thing for your guys' Rams side. I mean, the only good thing about this Cardinals team right now is the fact that they could run the ball. Both running backs entering this one extremely banged up.
Yeah. So That's all I was going to ask, because that's what I had written down, is that Cardinals, I mean, not coming off that in a bad spot, coming off that Carolina loss and now having to travel home against a division team that again in the Rams that have owned them, not to mention the fact that they're the much better team and have been dominant over the past 10 weeks or whatever it is. So 8-2, 9-1 or whatever it is. So yeah, I played the Rams as well.
Also, I hate to say it, but like Kyler Murray, the whole Kyler Murray COD thing, I mean, he always says, like, he did the deal with COD. He always says, like, oh, it's not like a real thing or whatever. Did his fall off not happen almost directly when the game came out again this
Shut up.
season?
Is
Like,
that true?
Dude,
What is
it
COD?
happened right
Call of
after the
Duty.
bye. It literally happened right after his bye. He started sucking bad. And it's pretty much
Hold on.
directly.
Is that when the game came out?
I mean, I don't know. Let's see.
When did someone look up the Call of Duty
Call
release date, please?
of Duty release date. And then October 29. No, that's the original. What's the newest one called? Jesus Christ.
Bro, you're asking the wrong guy. I played Call
Yeah.
of Duty in 10 years.
Call of Duty new game release date. October 25th. All right.
So his fall off. So actually, no. After October 25th, he had one more good game.
All right, yeah, he didn't get to really dive into the maps yet.
So he
didn't get to build his fucking classes yet, you idiot.
he didn't get to dive into the
He
maps
didn't even
yet.
have his loadout set, you dumbass.
Yeah, once he got his loadout set in Call of Duty, his production. He didn't. Probably goes. He didn't get to dive into the maps yet.
Once he prestiged, he was done with the NFL. All right, so
right,
let's get to community parlay.
Yeah, hit the song.
Community parlay, the parlay we bet, yeah.
He didn't even dive into the
Parlay
maps.
for the community, we community, making a parlay. Yeah.
All right, let's do a parlay. And do we have an underdog today?
Yes, we do.
All right, so you do the underdog. I'll do the community parlay.
Alrighty. I cannot believe our freaking underdog lost the other night. My Christ, dude.
It
That
lost on that.
was- It lost on Charbonnet. I mean,
yeah,
just,
Charbonnet,
just
yeah.
because of how purely...
And he got off to such a hot start too.
Seahawks ball, man. Seahawks ball. Wow. We're not focusing on the past. We're focused on today. As Kyle said, it's a wonderful day, and we've got Chase Brown higher than 28.5 receiving yards. We got Kyron Williams higher than 107.5 rush plus receiving yards, and we got Drake May higher than 247.5 pass plus rush, or in other words, total yards. The underdog promo of the day is not for a man today, but it's for Tua, higher than a half total yards. If you want to replace one of those legs, if you want to add a leg, feel more than free to do so if you're an underdog new customer. And if you would like to become one of those new customers, you can do so in one of these yellow states. Just got to enter that beloved promo code BET, and it's 3 EE letters. That's right, BET. Get a deposit match up to $1,000.
All I have to say is, Boston College Moneyline makes it. The community's getting risky with a dog. So then we'll go on the next one. We'll go NC State Moneyline, ECU. Oh, I'm sorry. Colorado Moneyline, and then Army Moneyline. And then I'm going to throw in the Chargers Moneyline too.
I also, a couple of people have sent me messages. I get them. It's just hard to interrupt these guys on the show. A couple other spots I like: Eastern Kentucky first half against Louisville. I think that Eastern Kentucky is a much better team than people give them credit for, and they've also played really well against when they've stepped up in class. And I don't think that Louisville's that good. And then the same type of thing for Coppin State first half against Georgetown as well, another plus 16.5. Georgetown is Coppin State's absolutely terrible, but you have a Georgetown team coming off of two really good wins. This is like the definition of a flat spot coming out of Christmas break. I just thought that 16.5 was too many in the first half.
Colorado Moneyline is the second leg. So we got Boston College Moneyline, we got Colorado Moneyline, and then why don't we put, I know what we'll do. Let's put all three NFL. Actually, they didn't really vote for the Chargers. So we got the NFL games. They like the Bengals. The Bengals won the poll. Rams Moneyline. We'll put Army Moneyline back in, and then we'll put Chargers Moneyline back in. And we're going to take first and second place from... Actually, let's put no. We're going to take first and second place from this poll to finish out the parlay. Good run.
Look at this UConn Huskies offense. Scampering to the sideline.
Somebody asked about the under in that San Diego Utah State game. That's really hard for me. It would be under or pass, but at the same time, and the only reason I say that is because I just don't think that the San Diego State offense is as good as what they've shown. But I don't really have too much on that total.
It's Bengals and Rams. So it's Boston College money line. This is a crazy one. Boston College money line, Colorado money line, Bengals money line, Rams money line.
All right.
Someone shout out the odds.
No, that's not the one I started.
Oh, you already started typing one?
Yeah, I did.
Get rid of the ball. All right. He got rid of it.
I thought you were talking to me.
Some of these quarterbacks
Jesus
are getting
Christ.
risky with this shit, man.
Right.
And there's a flag. Give me a holding downfield. They're fighting. They're fighting. There's been a lot of fighting in the bowl games, bro. You think these players don't care? I mean, they're out there throwing elbows and shit. Dude, there was a fight. What game were we watching where there was a fight on every single snap?
I don't know. It's the last legal punches they could throw, though, before these start becoming
I don't
criminal
even know if
charges.
these are technically legal. I mean, I suppose they're not going to get arrested for it, but
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not.
They're
They're,
just
not
getting their-
legal.
They're getting their last licks in before.
The community parlay. They're not legal though. It's still against the law. They're just not going to arrest.
Who's
somebody
coming on the field? Who's coming on the field and throwing cuffs on
Exactly.
them? Nobody.
But I mean, like, you're not going to get arrested getting into a fight in like a.
All I know is DK. The half of the reason DK is in the NFL is just to throw hands. It's true.
Boston College money line, Colorado money line, Bengals money line, Rams money line plus 685. Thanks everyone for watching. Be back tomorrow morning 11 a.m. to do some NFL. In case you haven't looked, don't look. It's like the most disgusting NFL slate of all time.
Bad.
dude.
It's bad.
Me and Prop Beaver are going to make a video to upload for tonight. I think we're only going to do 3 games.
Yeah.
Because some of the games, it's like, do we really want to spend 2 hours like making a full handicap of this game? It's Cooper Rush with no CD Lamb against Kenny Pickett. Like, what the fuck? What do you want? So some of these, it's not the best NFL day. Today, it is a much better football than tomorrow. And it's bowl games
It
and
almost
3
seems
NFL.
like the NFL got rid of all the good games early and just left all this shit and slop.
So you're
for
blaming
Sunday.
Goodell again. Get rid of the ball.
I mean, he's a scum rat. So
Touchdown.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Today's glorious, marvelous day. Helms, you on North Carolina, Helms? Helms is on North Carolina, I think.
He's on Ole Miss. That's a loser. I know that.
All right.
I'm gonna tell you on Memphis. You spoke so passionately about it.
Yeah,
So
she
guys, what I was talking about with the bet of the day. So after New Year's, Prop Beaver, Toast, and Andy are going to have daily uploads where it's their bet of the day. It'll be just Andy giving one college basketball pick his favorite of the day. That's what they were talking about. So yeah, everyone, enjoy your day. Bet responsibly. Hit me up in the Discord if you need me. Yeah, see you all at 11 a.m. Eastern time to talk some NFL. Hopefully with more money in our accounts than we have currently. PAT is good. This is a slaughter. It's a UConn slaughter.
Stay goated. It's a wonderful day.